Okay, now we're moving on. Speaking of competition, Fannie and Freddie, they've been monopolizing the multifamily mortgages, not to mention residential mortgages. I mean, if you're getting a conventional mortgage, it's coming from Fannie, Freddie, the agencies. About half of multifamily mortgages are issued by Fannie or Freddie themselves. A lot of talk about privatizing, but now specific talks about an IPO later in 2025. Man, the big thing about Fannie and Freddie, they come with a government guarantee that allows the risk on those mortgages to be a little bit less. So big investors will buy pools of them once they're securitized by the agencies. Look, it's got a government-backed guarantee.
Yeah.
I'm willing to take a little bit of a lower rate. That allows borrowers to get a little bit of a lower rate, a little better amortization period. For example, a multifamily, agency loan, you can get 30 years, up to 35 years of amortization, which is like your payments are stretched out, and a lower rate versus your conventional commercial lending, which is typically amortized over 25 years and often has a higher rate.
Yeah.
And usually, not always, but features a floating rate versus the agencies will offer either a fixed rate or floating rate. So really good terms. That's why they've been able to get so much market share, and it's kind of the go-to for buying a stabilized asset.
Yeah.
A lot of uncertainty around this idea of an IPO for Fannie and Freddie. So a lot of it is just we don't know exactly what that world looks like. Post receivership, they're government-sponsored entities that really went bust back in the Great Financial Crisis, and we don't know what it looks like. Do the guarantees stay? Is that better for the market? Multifamily. I've always multifamily investment's a good deal. Do you need to be subsidized? But on the other hand, we have a housing crisis. Yeah. How does the government incentivize the purchases of real estate, residential real estate, and the investment into residential real estate?
Yeah.
If they're not going to do it through interest rates, is it going to come through another subsidy, like more tax credits? So what's the lowdown, Matt? You've been reading into this. I think there's a lot of uncertainty.
You hit on what I think is most interesting thing about this. And also the most important thing. The most important thing I think are those implicit guarantees. But the most interesting, or at least maybe meaningful, is that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were part of their mission, right? Was to, or at least part of the government's involvement was to make housing cheaper. Or so if. And I could be.
Or borrowing cheaper.
Yeah, or borrowing cheaper.
Provide access.
Yeah, but that was kind of the service that they provided, at least. So if they want to continue providing that service and making borrowing cheaper, then government will continue to be involved. But if they move farther from that and the government wants to cut their ties, that may mean that rates go up because the implicit guarantee is gone. I think so much revolves around this, not explicit at all. The implicit guarantee, which isn't put in law. There's no law that's up there that says Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will always be bailed out. There's a big proof point in 2008 when they were rescued and put into receivership, or they were really very close to the government. My question is the IPO, in order to maintain that guarantee, are they going to have all the baggage that they have right now? If IPO frees them from regulation, well, if they have the guarantee, is that going to put those regulations right back in? Because in order to have that guarantee, you want all these strings attached.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, for example, there's for certain loans to get certain terms, there's green requirements. You can get a better interest rate if there's an affordability component, which means that your average rents fall within a range of area median income. And so you can, essentially, enact policy through the agencies. I think that, the Biden administration was going to clamp down on certain things, use more of a stick approach than a carrot approach on whether it's, junk fees or whatever, they called it. So there was that ability to be able to impact policy through the agencies because the government's saying, look, we're going to provide this guarantee. That's going to come with some terms. Yeah. There's nothing that's illegal from saying the government saying, look, we're going to continue to guarantee these securitized loan pools.
And that's been,
if you
Trump
do
has
X, Y, and Z.
That. He's like, we want to keep these guarantees. We want to keep that in place.
But then I guess, coming back to competition, from the guy that wants to get rid of the post office because we don't need the post office, why do we need these government-sponsored entities making loans?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the mission, but
isn't that picking winners and like we're picking these two winners of like these are going to be these now so sort of more private companies. Yeah. They're the ones to go to. Like how can a mortgage provider compete?
Yeah. Oh yeah, if you're a mortgage provider,
or a bank, a lender, a lender.
I think that Trump came up and knows exactly where he stands, and he likes cheaper loans from Fannie and Freddie and likes that guarantee and knows the value of that low risk that kind of passed on to the borrowers.
I mean, I do understand, and then I guess the only thing I've thought of, thinking about this problem is I've thought about it a lot because I really don't like the preference given to Fannie and Freddie because their organizations are full of people who are infallible and
okay, all right.
No, they make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, there has also been, talent drain about those organizations because there's been uncertainty. Yeah. So I don't know, the people that are running those organizations may not even be the most talented.
Yeah.
Except at Freddie, you guys are great right now. But at Fannie, I can't say the same for. And the only solution is being able this guarantee to not be exclusive to Fannie and Freddie. Is as long as you originate a mortgage and it meets certain criteria, the government provides that guarantee for that type of securitization pool.
And
there can be other companies that can securitize loans that can apply for that guarantee. Yeah. And it's not just a duopoly of Fannie and Freddie, which there's talk of even combining them or something into one thing.
Then kind of the IPO maybe makes sense.
Then it's just like that's a company, but everyone else has this access to this guarantee, so it's a more equal playing field. So you can have competition. You don't have the two biggest players be inept.
Yeah. That's a good point. I wonder, that's a good wish, and I think fairly sound if you make these things, or are they because it's like if they're inept in Fannie. Maybe they're not inept in another bank. Why are you?
That's what I'm saying. The organizations that are incapable of operating like a normal business, they should fail. And a organization that provides better service, more value to their customers, which are the borrowers, and then also the bondholders. Those are the ones that should be successful. And these two just behemoth organizations that have been around a long time because they've got the blessing of the king shouldn't just be the only two names in town for financing just because they've been around and they've got these guarantees.
To me, like you put the IPO out, their real selling point is that it are the guarantees, and so I don't think that
the reason why they want to do is they want to raise a bunch of money.
Yeah,
I mean, they're looking at they're trying to get looking for what $3 trillion in revenue and looking for $3 trillion in savings.
Okay. The government,
and the government. And so if they can get some revenue by selling Fannie and Freddie, they're like, look, we tried the public lands. They didn't let us sell the public lands.
Yeah.
Well, do they really care if we sell Fannie and Freddie? They're trying to make some cash. Yeah. Which again, from a business, if you think about a business, not a bad idea. Look at your balance sheet, look at your assets, and like, do we really need to be in this business? Let's sell it off.
They're not selling all of it either. Supposedly they're selling
going to keep a piece.
5 to 15% in the IPO of the full shares or something like that. But $30 billion of it.
I just, again, I just don't love the idea that I love multifamily, but I've never liked the idea of having, essentially the government being your partner in the deal.
Yeah.
Whether it's HUD, Fannie, or Freddie. I get it. We want to incentivize housing. But then when you partner with the government, the inefficiencies can be insane and there's no repercussions. If Fed wants to just like not answer the phone, there's nothing you can do. And you're like, where is the file on whose desk is the file sitting on? And they're like, that person left. It's moved. The piles have been moved around.
You can't get them fired because they've already quit.
They've already quit. Yeah, they got their incentive. They got their email from Musk, a couple weeks, a couple months ago, and they decided to leave.
It'll be interesting to see if how this progresses. Again, like I said, I'm just ambivalent about it. I wonder what the benefit for borrowers is going to be, and I just don't see them ditching their selling point of having that close connection and with the guarantees and all the baggage that it entails. But who knows?
I think they should just let other people. If the loan pool qualifies, anyone should be able to securitize and put it together.
Yeah, and maybe they have other filters for institutions, like the institutions must meet these criteria. The banks, if you want to act like another Fannie, you've got to have this much money, or have these rules or whatever.
I mean, the way they're doing it now, I mean, you can be like an originator for Fannie or Freddie. We can originate. Fannie has DUS lenders, direct underwriting and servicers. And then you can originate for Freddie. I mean, it's not like there aren't other organizations that are involved in the process, but it all's got to go up to Fannie and Freddie. They pull it all together, and you've seen their headquarters. It's big. I don't know what they're doing. They don't need that money.
I saw some shots early though. Where was it? The HUD,
Washington D.C.
Or there in one of the buildings of Fannie, or maybe it was HUD, that had like leaky roofs or something, and I thought that was unfair because they probably weren't. Right?
Probably HUD.
Yeah, it could be. But yeah, we'll see.
They're sending us. There's the reports that they're sending us to fix. We're fixing them.
Yeah,
but they probably get extensions on their.
Yeah. That's right.
They probably get all kinds of extensions on their. Their lender repair reports.
Pretty sweet loan on their office. That's funny. All right.